Oh, hi, yes. How is everyone? Welcome to our book talk. I have a very special guest that I want to introduce to you, but first I want to tell you about this fascinating book that we're going to be discussing today. Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, the graphic novel version, is written by Ransom Riggs, and the art is done by Cassandra Jean. Now, this is a story that follows a young boy named Jacob, who witnesses his grandfather being murdered. Nobody believes him that it was monsters. And we follow Jacob on his journey as he tries to rediscover his grandfather's past. He finds himself on the island that his grandfather grew up in, searching for this home that his grandfather was an orphan in. And he does. He finds it, and he finds so much more. He finds an entire world. He meets these people that he thought his father had made up. And he starts to have issues within his own life. Which direction does he want to go? This is a story of mystery. This is a story of honor, of courage, of love. Above all, this is a story of identity. Now I'd like to introduce you to my guest here. Me. Hey. Hello, yeah, thanks for coming. Yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me. Of course, I'm really looking forward to our discussion. Yeah, me too. It's a great book. How come you get a chair like that and I get this creaky thing over here? Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, the graphic novel version. What'd you think? Well, it was good. It was captivating, really. I couldn't put it down. Do you read many graphic novels? No, not really. This is the first one that I recall reading, and I gotta say I'm hooked on them now. They're really amazing, fun to read. Yes, there's something that the illustrator does that just sets the scenes perfectly. Really brings you into the characters, how they're feeling, the experiences they're having, and really just brings me deeper into the story itself. And the story, yes, there's so much depth. I mean, on the surface you're following Jacob as he loses his grandfather, but he sees these monsters and he starts questioning his reality, and he's having these recurring nightmares, and the monsters, by the way, those are my most favorite illustrations out of the whole book. Have to be. Yes, the art is beautiful and simplistic in certain ways. It kind of seems to me to represent Jacob himself and his experience, what he's actually feeling inside as being represented through the artwork. Speaking of favorite moments, I recall you wanting to discuss the colors, or lack thereof, that really get weaved in and out during this whole story as we follow Jacob along his journey. What do you make of those? Yes, the colors. So, like you're saying, the story starts out it follows Jacob right after his grandfather is murdered, and he has to start making sense of his grandfather's death, and also find a way to stop these nightmares he keeps having. And through his exploration, he discovers the island that his grandfather grew up on. And up to this point, the story it's in all black and white. It's the kind of sparse, like limited, not too many details in the actual illustrations. But as soon as he finds this new world, it just explodes with all this color and detail. And this is never more evident than when you look at the image of the house before he finds this new world, and then after he meets the peculiars. It has the same images, and the contrast is just amazing. And this is the difference between Jacob's worlds. One is this dull, familiar, straightforward kind of world that he doesn't necessarily fit into, and this other is this fantastical world full of magic and wonder and discovery. He feels welcome there. He feels loved. He is loved. And that's what the colors seem to represent. Yeah, and it doesn't end there either, because he has to go back to his real world, the world that he grew up knowing, and the color doesn't follow him there. It becomes black and white again, unless unless he's thinking or contemplating something about this new world that he's starting to become part of. Like in the scene where he's laying on his bed, and there's a light coming from the window, and it, yes, exactly, the window casts a shadow over his face, and the light is this beautiful blue hue. Yeah, yeah, and it splits his face into two, into half color, half black and white, and it's like this visual representation of the battle that's going on in his mind, of the choices he has to make, of him creating his own identity. Yeah, yes, and speaking of blue, I noticed certain scenes are flooded with different colors that just seem to act like a filter over the entire scene, like reds, blues, greens. Yeah, I noticed that too. It was a little hard to follow. Why do you think that might be? Well, it seemed to represent the scene itself, for starters. Like when you're outside at night, everything was kind of blue. When you're inside at night and things were lit by like a fireplace, then they were mostly red or orange. And I also noticed if it was outside during the daytime, it was full color. Everything had it's what you would assume is its natural color. Do you think those could have represented anything more? Yeah, I think they do. Red seemed to be associated with conflict. If there's any sort of plot point that was coming up that was really disturbing in any way, that it seemed to be flooded with more red. The blue seemed more associated with nature, and it also brought along some information, like which it could be more plot points, but it seemed more just helping clarify what was going on for Jacob and for the reader too. Interesting take on that. I never made that connection to nature, so to speak. I mean, what's so natural about this world that he's living in with all these people with all these powers? This whole world is natural. I mean, Miss Peregrine is keeping these children safe in this world she created, or more so the time that she's maintained. But whoa, hey, be careful with the details. We don't want any spoilers. Oh, sorry. Yes. Well, my point was that the specific world may not be necessarily natural, but the peculiars, as they call themselves, are a part of the natural order of our world. I mean, Miss Peregrine can turn into a falcon, a peregrine falcon. What's more natural than birds? You do have a point there, and the birds do seem to represent a sort of freedom that Jacob didn't experience in his old life. I mean, he was stocking shelves at the grocery store. He felt stifled. Yes, a freedom that only a bird can reach. They are masters of their domain. And Miss Peregrine, she acts as this key for Jacob into this world, into a world he feels we're a part of something. It's something real to him. That's nature right there. Yeah, I can see that. It seems like a little bit of a stretch, though. Well, between the symbols of the birds and the emphasis of the designs of the topiaries around the house, and even the apple that Emma and Jacob pick. Topiaries? Yeah, it's where they clip the shrubbery into different designs. Oh yeah, that's right. And the apple, what do you think the apple represents? The world that Jacob's found himself in. It's a peculiar world. And the apple, even in his old world, kept its color. And beyond that, it's temptation. I mean, the whole Adam and Eve thing, you really see it when he's starting to struggle with whether or not he wants to live in this old world or become a part of this new, more fascinating, colorful world. That's true. And there is something to say about human nature, even within this unnatural or supernatural world that Jacob finds himself in. Yeah, exactly. Yes. Well, I know we could talk all day about this book and the intricate details in its creation, but we are running out of time. Looks like we're going to have to wrap up our conversation. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we go? About the book? Yes, anything else? No, but I did want to ask you about this chair. Every time I move, and I move a lot when I talk, it squeaks. It makes this noise. it makes that. It's uncomfortable. I'm hunched, and you're sitting in that, reclining in that chair. What's up? Why is that? Why do I get this kind of treatment? Well, that's all the time we have for today. I really hope you enjoyed our conversation about Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, the graphic novel version, written by Ransom Riggs, art by Cassandra Jean. I hope you have a wonderful afternoon, and thank you very much for your time.